So guys, let's start today. I'm going to put you guys on gallery view so I can see everybody. I'd like to do a little weird psychology in the beginning, a little weird psychology mind trick. Is there anybody that's like, man, don't be messing with my mind today? Like you and your weird psychology breathing stuff. It's not in that mode. No one else can see you because you're on gallery, so you can raise your hand and be like, dude, I'm out of the weird psychology thing. Anybody? Okay, cool. If you're going to have a piece of paper and pen handy. Andrea just joined on. And don't take offense to anybody that's like, dude, don't be bringing the weird psychology here. So you can just close your eyes and think about something else if you don't want to do it. Okay. But this is all part of eventually someday building you guys into a really, I know without a sliver of doubt that all you guys could net $1 million in this business. But at the end of the day, it's when you get into the big leagues, it's going to be about systems in your own mindset. So that's why I'm doing some of this stuff now with you too. And that we do a lot of this stuff at live events too, because you have to be, it's not just marketing, it's also systems. And then it's also, it's your mindset. But the difference between the top and the middle is always mindset, your own psychology. Robert, you know that from being an athletic coach, right? So I think you guys all know my story. I got to coach professional tennis. The difference between Roger Federer, the greatest of all time, and the guy that I was coaching that was number 60 in the world, I would watch them practice and I'd be like, God, my guy's just as good, if not a little bit better. But Roger's mindset was so far in advance over the guy that I was coaching. It was insane. And so let's do it right now. So let's get present. If you guys can have a piece of paper and a pen handy, I'm going to teach you something real quick. I'm going to mute everybody now. Stacy, we're doing a little weird mindset thing. So just hang in there with me to start off. Yeah, I know you'd be okay with that. Okay. Okay, let's get present right in this moment, right here. I want you to first start off, take your attention to your brow, to your forehead. Do you have any tension there? If so, release it. Now take your attention to your lips and upturn them just a little bit so that you have a smile, like a slight smile. Now take your attention to your breathing. And give me 3 breaths in and out to the count of 3. In, 1, 2, 3, out. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now for 2 minutes, we're going to stay in this same space. I want you to be the watcher of your thoughts. So as you try to stay present and focus on your breathing, your brain's going to produce thoughts. When you have those thoughts, don't judge yourself. What I want you to do is write down the thoughts. What are the thoughts that you're having? So write down right now what you're thinking about. Then come back to your breath. Now write down what you're thinking about. Come back to your breath. Okay, come back to this moment now and look down. By show of hands, nobody else can see you right now. So by show of hands, did you guys catch yourself having thoughts? Raise your hand if you caught yourself having thoughts. Raise your hand if you had no thoughts for that amount of time. Okay, welcome to being a human being. Good job. That's your first test right there. Was anybody able to catch themselves by a show of hands? Was anybody able to be the awareness and you were able to watch yourself have thoughts? Was anybody able to say, but before when I said, what are you thinking about right now? Was anybody able to go, ooh, I'm thinking about this before I did it? Anybody? Who? Susan, you did? Stacy, you did? Kirk, you did? Joe, you did? No. Anybody else able to catch yourself having a thought? Okay, ready for weird psychology? Ready? I'm coming at you here with weirdness. That's who you really are. You are not your thoughts. That's who you really are. So upper level, level 3 for you guys in a couple of years, right? Or whenever you guys get there, is you are the person behind your thoughts. And you can start using your thoughts in a way that is productive for you. The majority of human beings wake up and then just become a slave to their thoughts all day. Upper level is I'm the awareness and I use my thoughts directed in a way that's where I want to go. That is absolutely like working out. It takes time to get it. So I'm not trying to beat anybody up right now. I just want you guys to become aware of it and start introducing these topics to you. Again, at live events, we go into this stuff a lot deeper so that you can really start using your mind in a way that's like, oh, wow, using my mind to get to me to where I really actually want to go instead of it being just on 24/7, ripping you apart. Who has any questions or comments around this or wants to discuss this and be like, dude, you're a big weirdo? Anybody? Anybody, did this come up anything? Did anybody have any comments about this? Did it shake anything loose for anybody? Was it weird? Stacy, you can talk. Like, I know that you're okay talking like this. What was the experience like this?
Well, I feel like I've been like this for a long time.
Yeah.
I frequently feel like I'm looking at myself like, I'm above where I am and just looking down at what I'm saying, how I'm reacting. And
Wow.
yeah. And it's cool. I mean,
Yeah. Are you discovering to start seeing who you really are? And that once you start using that in a positive direction where you want to go, do you see how powerful it can be?
yes, 100%.
Cool. Now, I want everybody, right? Does anybody else want to make any comments or anything like that? I just want to introduce that to you guys really quickly. Again, it's not something that you can do once and then you get it. But again, live events, we go into this stuff a little bit deeper, and it is something to work on down the road, because the truth is getting to netting to $1 million someday is not just tactical.
Mm-mm.
If it was just tactical, everybody do it, right? It
Yep.
is absolutely 1000% how you think and how you use your mind. That's the key differentiator. It takes us, I knew it going into this job, because I've been a coach before and I've worked with top athletes, but anybody that joins us as a coach, anybody that comes in, and when you guys are into it too, we tend, if you guys notice, I rarely answer a tactical question with a tactical answer because it's usually a mindset thing. So it takes a little time to get this stuff, but it's really, really fun once you get it. I'll tell you that much. Everything in your life improves too. It's not just netting $1 million. It's that your relationships are good, your health's good, your finances are good, everything's good. So with that being said, if everybody can really go back inside right now, what's the one obstacle? What's the one thing that's holding you back right now? What's your biggest challenge that you're having in your life, in your business, anything? So I want everybody to write that down. What's the one biggest challenge that you're having right now? And forgive me, this is my lunch hour, so I'm going to be eating. I don't schedule in lunch breaks. Okay, in the chat box, who wants a hot seat around this? Who wants to say, hey, Deryck, I want a little support from you or the group around this? If you're feeling a little timid or shy or you don't want to go, that is your cue for going. That means you should go. Okay, so Andrea's first. Let's see if we can get a row of about 3 or 4, and then you guys can come behind it once you get feeling a little bit more comfortable. As I said, if you don't want to go, that is absolutely your cue for going. Oh, wow. If we only have one, then I'm going to be randomly calling on people. That's not fun. I don't want to go, Greg Wilcox goes. That means you're going. Yes. Stacy Luna. Okay, cool. We got to run up. So let's do this, Andrea. How can we serve you today?
So I have this fear of not being able to get things done and not meeting my agreements. You know, I am one of those people, I tell people I do what I say, and I get things done, but when you're busy and you don't get it done, you beat yourself up like,
hold on. You've been in here a long time. I'm not going to let you say it like that. You know, when you're busy, no.
When
you beat yourself up. I don't do that. I used to, but I don't do that anymore. So when
I'm busy,
yep,
I beat myself up, and that little devil on the shoulder comes in.
Yes. Yeah. Wow, that's very self-aware too. Does that little exercise that we did in the beginning do you see how this is a mindset question?
Well, I got to tell you, I came in late, so I came in while you were breathing.
Oh, okay.
I have to tell you that my answers, I don't know what everyone else wrote, but my 2 answers were, I'm amazing.
Oh, wow.
The universe will take care of me. So I don't know what the question was, but those are the answers.
Wow, great. Well, that about solves it. But let's talk about tactics though on this one, because this could be tactical. It's the busy season, it's the spring, and it is important, Andrea, for you right now to keep your word. But I also recommend considering saying no, or saying I can't get to this until this time with people, and doing it a little bit differently than we normally do it. So instead of us pleasing people and saying, yes, I'll have that right over to you, sir, say, I will have that right over to you in 48 hours. Is that okay?
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
And right now in busy times, you want to absolutely under promise, over deliver.
Absolutely.
And if somebody says, you ready for this? This is upper level. Andrea, I need that now. You can say, I totally understand. I'm not able to do that. I definitely recommend, maybe calling somebody else or something if you need it right now. And don't beat yourself up about it. Nothing. Just move on. I just did it a second ago too. We're in a busy season too. Somebody just, I need to talk. I need 5 minutes. And I was like, I cannot do it today. I've got you on Friday at 11 a.m. And one of 2 things is going to happen. Ready for this, guys? One of 2 things are going to happen when you set those boundaries like that, and you win in both scenarios. So A, They either respect you and they say, sweet, I'll talk to you at 11. Great. And you do that. Or B, they call you a big jerk and then you bless and release them and you don't want to be in business with those people anyways. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
So boundaries always win. The hard part about boundaries is us beating ourselves up in our minds about, I cannot believe the audacity of that person for that, right? All those thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you can get some relief and you don't cause yourself suffering. Is that fair?
Fair. Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Greg, wait, Stacy Luna.
Hey there.
Hey.
So, my biggest challenge right now is my system organization, and managing my time. And I am working through clearing out some things that have detracted from my time, but they're not ending yet. So,
can you give me an example?
well, I have another business, a direct sale business where I sell women's clothing, and I've made the decision over the last month and a half to remove that from my plate,
Right.
to provide more space. I feel like I definitely need more space to be a little bit more aggressive in my mortgage business. So I feel like that is my number one, and it always has been, but I feel like the opportunity is there now for it to be, that's it, and to be really amazing at it. And so I'm removing that, but it's not over. So I'm removing it, but the systems, like I'm trying to get systems with my database put in and create a system for leads and stuff so that they don't get lost. And I've started to create that system. But it's obviously not polished yet, and it's very raw right now.
How many loans have you closed in the last 12 months?
50-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how many are in your pipeline right now?
About 10.
Okay, so you're busy. Do you have any assistants?
I have a transaction coordinator. She doesn't work for me up front though. She's one I've pre-qualified and sent here's your items needed list. Then she takes it from there.
By July, do you think you will have closed 60 in that last calendar year?
I think so. Yes.
That'd be close.
Yeah.
Okay, well, talk to Dan, because that's what level 2 is, guys. Level 1 is marketing and mindset and getting you guys there, getting comfortable. Exactly what Stacy just said too. Getting you guys to see if this is the business for you. Are you going to commit? Are you going all in? Because there's a shift that happens once you go all in. Once you go all in, everything starts to change. And so you all in. Once you get all in and you get to where you're at, you're pretty close, then it becomes, and the only way you can scale and do more business is to create systems. You have to have a system. Hopefully you have good processing or ops. But after that, then you do have to have a system for you and an assistant so that you can get to, a lot more. And if you don't have that, it's going to hold you up and you're going to feel overwhelmed and you're going to feel like time management's your issue. But that's what we set out to solve in level 2. We do it in mastermind, people sharing their systems and then making you guys commit to your systems. And then that's what we do at the live events where you stand up and say, this is the Stacy Luna system. And this is the right. And it's tough to get people there because the problem is that everybody wants to go, oh, wait, should I do that here? Or should I do that here? And then you stay in that. What my recommendation is till you get there is to pick something simple. No, it's not perfect. And just execute during these busy times. Is that fair?
Yes, that's fair.
Cool. So do that right now. Talk to Dan about, we're starting another one in July. We start them twice a year. See if you're at the point yet.
Yeah, we're supposed to have a conversation. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you guys explore that, see if it's right or not for you. We have a scorecard for that to see if you guys are ready, like to go down some metrics to see if you've hit the things need to get hit in level 1. Okay. Cool. Was that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
Greg Wilcox. that doesn't want to go. That's awesome.
Good morning.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, you're good.
Perfect. So I find myself struggling with some fear, actually.
That's a powerful statement right there.
Yeah.
Just being aware that you have fears, and it's a super powerful statement. Okay.
The way I became aware of that was I noticed that I was looking at what I would call side hustle activity. Specifically, my mortgage company, the company that I have a retail branch with, they have how do I put this? They have added in real estate sales is the only way I could put that. So they're basically creating a model where a loan officer can also be a real estate agent. Because I'm not the only one that's laughing about it.
Is anybody else laughing with me? I don't know. It's so funny. I mean, I don't want to diverge off of that, but that's what real estate companies do with mortgage companies. They do terrible at it. Their capture rates are so poor. And then mortgage companies now do the same thing, and they want to do it. It's the same thing with title companies. And I've yet to see a model where somebody pulls it off in a really super successful way, because the truth is exactly what Stacy said. If you become a jack of all, you're a master of none. But once you become a master of one, you can literally kill it. So I appreciate you bringing that up. But let's explore this a little bit longer. I didn't mean to riff or cut you off. I want to explore what's your fear around that.
Well, the fear was I actually for a moment entertained that, and I recognized that's probably just a indication of where I'm at in the learning cycle with this with the way things are done here in our system. But also after that was, well, can I really be associated with this company? Because that's that's hey.
And I appreciate you not using the name, so thank you. So guys, really in coaching too, I want everybody just to be really aware to not use your company names in any context. So always speak from a general perspective, because what we say here is confidential, but sometimes people speak openly. And if you say a company name, that can get out, and I've already seen it happen. Then recruiters are calling people, and we don't do any of that stuff. So I want everybody to feel very, very safe here. So if everybody can be very agnostic when you speak about not using your company name, I appreciate that. So thank you, Greg.
You're welcome. Yeah, and that's where it was. I just don't like moving in our industry. It's a very difficult process to transition to a new platform. There's always a struggle.
Well, let me help you out then. So this is your work to do right now. You have to identify exactly what you want out of your business. And you don't do anything else company related until you find out, what are you going to build, Greg? What kind of business are you going to build? Because almost when anybody is talking about leaving or whatever, it's always from a pain place. My company's doing this, and so I need to go someplace where they don't do this. But that's not a powerful place. The powerful place is, this is what I want in my business. This is how I want my business to run. And ready for this? And this is how I'm going to do that. And then I always recommend speaking to your existing company first. Do not make moves. Do not do anything. Just talk to your existing company and say, hey, love that you have some initiative over there. That's great. Hey, this is how I'm building my company. Are you guys cool with this? This is how I'm building my branch. This is what I'm doing. Is that possible? Is that possible here? And if the answer is yes, then you saved yourself that whole hassle. If the answer is no, then you know without a sliver of a doubt that you do need to do something. But you guys never want to get recruited from anybody. You never want to be weak because of your current company or something. And then a recruiter happens to call you, or somebody else, you talk to somebody else, my company's great. And then I see people moving a lot. You want to be very, very clear on what you want, and you want to stay right there, because you always want to be going towards something, not away from something. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so always being crystal clear. This is what, Greg, I don't know if you're coming or not, but one of the big exercises we do in Inspire is getting you guys crystal clear on what you want in your business. That's one of our first initiatives that we do at a live event. Okay. And I get you guys into a good place so that you can you can see that for yourself. Then you can take emotion out and you can just speak to your current company and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Is that possible here? And then you and I don't know, your company might go, well, you're a valued guy and that's awesome. And we're going to allow you to do that. I've seen that happen, guys. I've seen that happen before. And that is always your first course of action. So with anybody, I always recommend trying to figure it out there first, from a place of power, you going towards something. If it doesn't, and they're not going where you want to go, then there's your cue. But then you can speak to, I'm not a big fan of recruiters, but you could talk to somebody, right? And say, this is what I'm looking for. Does anybody know where they do this? And now you're in your power. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Was that helpful for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, man. Robert Grove.
Hey guys. Funny, I probably even know the answer to this. I think my biggest challenge is if I get, I'm a routine guy, creature of habit. And if I get thrown off that routine for any reason, it's very hard to get back into it. Went away for a few days last week on vacation for our anniversary. And it's just like getting back in the routine is hard, just being thrown off for a very short period of time.
So I know you're an athletic sports guy too, so I can talk to you like that. So the stats are this, Robert: 3 days. The stats are 66 days to create a habit. Ready for this, guys? 66 days to create a habit. 3 days to lose it. Not kidding. That's not Deryck Cheney stuff. That's me studying all the research for as long as I did. But 66 days to create it, 3 to lose it. And let me talk a little bit geeky here for a second. It's called activation energy, Robert. So when you lose a habit, so you're out for 3 days, it's every bit of you having to start over. And activation energy takes so much more energy, right? So whenever you're trying to create a new habit, that's like what we do with Win the Day with you guys too. It's so hard in the beginning. Well, just picture like, ready? Everybody go do an exercise regime right now, right? You'll feel all the resistance. You'll go out and run and you'll make it like 200 yards, right? It's like that. So that's just right? And so if you know some of that stuff, like some of the hacks that I do, which my wife's not the biggest fan of, but some of the hacks that I do is even on vacation, I try to stay in. I do stay in. I don't try. I do stay in a little bit of my morning routine, because if I'm out for a week or two and I don't do that and I just stay out, I know how ridiculously hard it is to get back into it. So I have to have an agreement with my family that, okay, look, I'm going to wake up and then I'm just going to do these things for a little bit, and then I can chill for the rest of the day. So I those core habits that really propel me forward in my life forward. I've just found that, man, literally, like, even if I go out, like if you use running, for example, even if I go out and run like a half a mile, it's still like I did it and I'm in a routine still, right? For the purpose of these exercises, you guys with marketing and stuff, is getting on doing it for 2 minutes, right? Like the work's not that hard. The part that's hard is the thinking about the work, right? Like, right? But when you actually do it, it's like that, you're done. So I'm not advocating working on vacation or anything like that. I'm not. I'm just saying like little key things. And the other thing is, if you want to take off totally, you just know that when you come back, you need to carve out some time. It's going to be harder to get back on it.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up.
Yep.
And it's called welcome to being human too, right? Like what you just described. Cool. Was that helpful?
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Matt Newman from Atlanta, Georgia, everybody.
Hey, Deryck. Hey, everyone.
Hey, man. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. My biggest challenge, it's actually appropriate, I guess, here for what we're talking about, but is balance. I feel like I'm neglecting myself. I'm not really in a good exercise routine. I'm just so focused on work.
Yeah.
I've been out of whack thinking, okay, I'll get back into balance. And I'm finding it very difficult to do.
Yeah, because it is difficult to do. That's why you're finding it difficult to do.
Right.
It is difficult to do. Honestly, too, man, I'd love to see it at one of our live events, because that's one of the when I started this 3 years ago, I did live events just to give people like get away, reset, redo your priorities, and then everybody together. Now we can go and reset and do activities. So I know
Right.
I know Kirk and Susan. I don't know if anybody else on here was at Stacy. I know was there in wherever we were, Florida. And we were able to create new habits, right, and then come out of the gate and do that. Inspire, guys, if anybody wants to still go that didn't sign up. Inspire is where I do the life, Matt. If you can't go or something like that, I'm going to do a precursor one in August for the people that can't make it, because you really need to set some time aside and get to the right side of your brain and say why do you want to do an exercise routine?
I mean, so I can live a healthy life.
Yeah. And then it's like this. You have to say the why, the purpose, then you have to have a goal, and then you have to track it with accountability. So what we're going to do at Inspire with everybody too is we're going to have an app by then. So I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, but I'm going to have everybody, okay, what's your purpose for doing this? What's your goal? And then what's your accountability that you're tracking to? Because what I can tell you, without tracking, forget it.
It's funny because I'm doing all the right things in my business. I'm tracking, I'm holding myself accountable. I feel like I've got the habits in place, but it's coming at a sacrifice. Everything else is being sacrificed.
Well, let me give you a couple that I do right now. Okay. And I start Inspire like in March, so that I don't show up and Inspire like 350 pounds standing before you guys being like, like, hey, you really should get in shape. And you're like, what's up, dude? You're not in shape. Right. But I use Runkeeper, Matt, as an app. And I just do it like this is, I commit, I have an accountability. I do coaching and accountability too. So, hey, I'm going to do 10 miles a week. And then I just have to turn on the app and then I run. I'll tell you this, dude, this is what happens to me is I get to my last 2 days in the week and I have like 6 miles left. And I'm like, my God, I did it on Saturday too. They do it Sunday to Saturday. And, I'm like, God, I'm sitting my kid's basketball game on Saturday. And then like between games, I'm like running on the baseball field, getting my last miles, right? But without tracking, I would have been like this. Without tracking accountability, I would have been, dude, I'm at my kid's basketball game. I'm not doing it. So I use Runkeepers for the run. I use, what's that I use for food? So honestly, guys, this goes for anybody that has any things with food, which to me is like every human being. But if you don't have anything with food, let me know. But what do I use for food? I know it's on here somewhere. Give me 1 second. It's not on my phone. So it's on my laptop, or it's on my iPad. I don't have it on my phone, but I can't remember what it's called. But essentially, it's like this: when you eat something, you take a picture of it and put it in there, and then it can tell you, how many calories you're at or whatever. And I can't.
That's cool.
I'll find out what it is and give it to you guys. But we're going to talk a lot about that stuff at Inspire too. So. But again, just tracking it and having a goal. I have my goal weight, and then but it's not. It's the fact that I have to go do it and track it, and then I've told somebody that's what it is, right? That helps, because I don't want to be that guy that's like, when I told you guys about self-integrity and like what Andre was saying, like I say I'm going to do something. I don't want to be that guy that doesn't do it. So. That's a lot what we do at live events too, guys, at Inspire. Like by the end, you have to stand up and say your promises and we video it. And so if you can make it, because it helps so much. I've seen so many people. I don't know if you guys know Julian Roger Rigstad. you guys watch them, like where they were last year in Inspire and where they are now with their health. They made a big health thing. It's like, it's amazing. So, but that's how I do it, man. And then that's how we do it for you guys too.
Cool. So it's not too late to sign up for Inspire?
No. If anybody wants to, I think I don't remember how many, but if you want, definitely I'll save you a spot. Just message me on Facebook. Bring Jennifer too. I want to say hi.
All right.
If you come, like, it's awesome. It's right next to DC. You guys jump to DC. I think she's really good friends with Kelly Sherrill. She lives in DC.
Yep.
And so, I mean, it's literally like, it's 5 minutes from the airport, the resort we're going to.
Okay.
So it's super good. All right, cool. Yeah, Matt Newman said Keller Mortgage. I know. I don't know if you guys were on Motivation Monday, but here's the truth. They've been doing that stuff for 20 years. Our area, Long and Foster, is big. They have an in-house mortgage company. I know the executives there. Once you get an in-house mortgage company, you might know this, Matt, from being an agent. Once you get an in-house mortgage company, everybody thinks that the agents are just going to use it, and they don't. The best capture rate at all Long and Foster was 41%, and that was like the best things. It was mostly what were you going to say, Matt, on that?
I was going to say you're absolutely right, because they did some test markets with Keller Mortgage, and they found the capture. So Keller Williams has in-house lenders.
Yep.
You know, pay though their capture rate went up when they introduced Keller Mortgage into their test market centers.
Yep.
So, you know, you would think that it would have the opposite, but for whatever reason, it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, guys. Like it's like a shiny metal thing. Like it'll come across, people freak out about it, and once running a mortgage company is not as easy as it sounds to everybody. It's the same thing what Greg was saying. Everybody goes, but those agents make 3%, you know, and we could keep our own leads. And I'm like, oh, that is right. Yeah. How easy is it to be an agent, Matt? Matt was a top producing agent. It's not easy.
It's not easy. The one thing that I think is ironic about the whole Keller Mortgage is Gary Keller wrote the book, The One Thing.
I know.
Is this one thing real estate or is it mortgage? And that goes back to the conversation earlier. I still have a real estate license. I wouldn't dare think to do both. You cannot do it well. It's just not possible.
Yep. And even Gary Keller writing the book One Thing is still susceptible to shiny metal. Let me get in on that game too. So yeah. Cool. Let's go to Mark. Unmute. Hey, man.
Hey. Yeah, my biggest, it's not an ongoing problem, but it happens periodically. Like today, I got a loan blowing up, and I take it very personal. And it kills me. Like, and it's actually in-laws too, unfortunately. It's a jumbo. They're buying a house, and it's probably something I should have known about, a DTI issue. I didn't catch it soon enough, and now it's going sideways. And I take this also personal all the time. It just kills me. It doesn't happen every day. I shouldn't say that, but periodically, you know, something happens and goes sideways, and I have to just that mindset on that. I just want to crawl in a hole. I want to give them $25,000 and make it work or something. But anyway, any thoughts on that?
Well, I certainly understand. Yeah, I mean, I certainly understand, and that is not fun at all. I'm going to give you a story, and not to diminish your story, because it will feel exactly the same, but hopefully it gives you some context in there too. I have a couple of close friends that I was in coaching groups with that one was a heart surgeon. And this is when I broke it. When I was in a coaching group with him, and I'd come in and say that, man, I messed up on my person's loan, and they got to be in a hotel, or like it's my in-laws, right? And then everybody would go, oh man, that stinks, right? And then he'd come in and say, yeah, I messed up on my heart surgery today, and the dad died, and I had to go tell the 12-year-old kid that his father didn't make it. And I was like, whoa. And I was in there with a couple doctors and people in different industries, and All I can say is that became so grateful for our industry that when I made a mistake, it feel like you said the words twice. It kills me. It actually doesn't, though.
No,
Now, human beings, you experience the same regret and everything that he does when somebody actually does kill somebody. So it still feels the same. It feels awful, right? So I'm not diminishing that it feels awful. It does feel awful. But it actually doesn't kill you. And it's a really bad feeling. So you know, I think even in your language, you can say it is a really bad feeling when I make a mistake on this, and own it and say, how can I make it up to you guys in this? And try to figure it out and give yourself grace in this. But the other thing is also having the perspective on, I know it feels like it, but it doesn't. And the shocking thing when I was in the group with these heart surgeons was, I was like, wow, we make about the same money as they do. And they go to school for 13 years and have, like, our lives, guys, are so dramatically different than those guys. Like, they are, you talk about stress and I mean, it's insane what they go through. You know, they're sitting around and they get paged and then it's emergency heart surgery. And then he talks about, and he talks about, like, you have to go in and you have to make a decision. You have 3 seconds with limited information, and you're making a life or death decision. And, when somebody's coming in, when they're doing that, like the job that he had, and and he would go like this, he'd go, okay, so how am I supposed to come home at the end of the day and not have 3 stiff vodkas and, like, and just be normal with my wife and kids? And I'll tell you this, I walked away from that stuff being like, golly, boy, am I lucky. So I don't know if that was helpful or not. That's how I kind of transitioned out. It still feels terrible. Try to make it right. But the suffering that you're causing yourself are definitely your thoughts around it.
Yeah.
Which is why we do that exercise in the beginning, not the actual, they actually don't die.
That's only thoughts I could have in the beginning when we were doing that. Like concern, worry.
Yeah.
Because I just got, my assistant just called me a little bit ago. Said, oh man, their underwriter says the DTI is too high. And anyway, and so it's wearing on me right now, but
yeah.
It's a mindset thing, just to detach yourself from
a bad feeling. I mean, those are the worst, right?
Yeah.
It's a bad feeling.
But it's a vacation home, so they don't really need it anyway. So, but.
Right. Now, do you see what I mean when I was in the group? Like, when you really get into it. So this was their primary residence and they've already moved and they're at a hotel now and they're in a new town and they've already sold their old house. No, it's just a vacation home. Right. And the doctor's like, okay, Deryck, you're going to be okay, bud. You're going to make it. Right.
Oh, thank you. I needed a laugh. I need a good laugh. So that's good.
Cool. All right, that's the end of the chat box. Anybody else get brave or want to have anything else? I'm at 149. All right, we are complete. You guys have a fantastic Wednesday. Thanks for coming here. Thanks for being present. Hopefully you guys learned some stuff, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys. As I said, we do have a couple spots. If somebody does want it, just hit me on Messenger and we'll link you up with Hillary if you do want to do Inspire. If not, get on those apps and create some accountability with some tracking. And we'll see you guys soon. All right, guys, let's do this. So if you guys are relatively new, just bear with me on the weird mindset stuff in the beginning. It does have a purpose. I promise you that. So, but bear with me. It'll make sense as we go. So all you guys can start to become present right here in this moment. And the way that I want you guys to do that today is close your eyes, shut down whatever you have going on, and take your attention right to your brow and your forehead area. Are you carrying any stress there? Is it crinkled up? If so, let it go. Take your attention now to your lips and upturn them into a slight smile. Now become aware that you're breathing. As you become aware that you're breathing, now let's consciously breathe to the count of 3 in and 3 out. Okay, we're going to do a little exercise here. And if this weirds anybody out, you do not have to participate. Starting in level 1, we start building your mindset into a top producing mindset. What I can tell you without a sliver of a doubt, that somebody's mindset will determine whether or not they're going to be able to net $1 million in this business or not someday. So just tactical or just systems, very important. Those are very important. You have to have those too, but you also have to have a command of your mindset. Your brain has to be on your team. It has to be working with you. So if you're up for it, if you're not up for it, you do not have to participate right quick. I know if you're new, or if you're like, are you doing some mind control thing on me? No, I'm not. I'm just trying to make you aware of a couple things so that down the road you can start directing your brain and your thoughts to be helpful for you. So if you're up for that exercise, you can participate along with me. So take out a piece of paper and a pen, or if we happen to be in 2018, you could take a note on your phone. Kind of dates me. I'm used to saying piece of paper and pen. For 2 minutes, we're going to do an exercise. Let's see if you can not think for 2 minutes. So closing your eyes, your job is to see if you can not think. Ready? Go. Okay, right now on a piece of paper, write down what you're thinking about right now. What was the thought that you just had? Write it down quickly and then back to the exercise. Okay, write down right now what you're thinking about. And for the next 45 seconds, I want you to see if you can be the awareness watching what you do, what you are thinking about. See if you can catch yourself thinking while you're doing it. Okay, cool. Who wants to share their experience? If you do, just put it in the chat box that you do. And my big question for you guys, was anybody able to, I thought David you would, was anybody able to watch your thoughts? David?
Yeah, so I was able to watch my thoughts, no problem. But I do it every day, so I've got a little bit of a leg up.
What were you thinking about?
I was thinking, just as you were talking, the thoughts that were going through my head and I wrote down are what I've learned with myself is it's impossible to not think. And so what I do is when I have a thought, I acknowledge it and then let it go. So I just, in my head, I'll recognize it so it doesn't keep on making noise in that head, and then let it go. When I first started meditating, one of the ways I was able to do that was to just think of a train. If I had thoughts coming up, I would think of a train going by and just let that thought get carried off on one of the cars. But that's exactly the thought that was coming up in my head. And then the next thought, when you said write down what you're thinking again, was explaining that thought.
That's fascinating, man. And hats off to you for being at that level. Because it was kind of a trick exercise. You really can't make yourself not think. You're going to have thoughts. But what you can do is, here's the upper level guys stuff. And this is what I want you guys to hear, the why behind this. Why is Deryck talking all this weird stuff about all this stuff? Just hang with me. Is that if you can recognize before you become reactive to a thought that you're having a thought, and you don't need to choose to react to it, you start to get everything back in your life, and you're able to do this job at a very high level. Does that make sense to everybody, or is that like a bunch of weird Deryck talk?
Can it be both?
Yeah, well, you want to riff with me on it? Give me what's your thought about the weird stuff?
I was just trying to be funny, honestly.
Oh yeah, no, it can totally be both. Because what you can do, if you're at the level what you just said, what you can do is, I just lost a deal. Okay. I'm having thoughts around fear and scarcity, how I'm going to pay my mortgage next month. I can recognize that thought, and you can do your process, and I can put that thought back on the train, and I can get back to my job that will pay the mortgage. What almost everybody does is, when something bad happens in this business, or somebody says something to you or something, we have a thought around it, which is normal, but then we react to that thought. And the reaction to that thought is what holds everybody back from their greatness. Does that make sense to everybody? Or is that really weird? Who else wants to riff with me around that? Does anybody else? Dan, you said I'll talk. Does anybody else want to talk around that? Nabby, if you want to ask a question. I know this is weird, and I'm just introducing this stuff to you guys now. At live events, we go into this stuff a lot deeper because, I want to stand behind you in my truth and say, as I say, you do the systems, you build a system, and you have a top producer mindset, you guys can all net $1 million in this business. I stand before you. That is absolutely true. If you have a system and you stay tactical and you react to every thought that you have in there, and you spend your majority of your life reacting to thoughts around things, you're going to think this job's really hard, and you're not going to do it, and you're going to sabotage yourself, and you're actually going to start pushing business away. Does that make sense, everybody? Again, or is that really weird? Cool. Does anybody else want to have a conversation around mindset? Abby, what was the thing that you wanted me to repeat again?
The part that you initially said, like the concept of it all, when you started explaining.
Yeah, so we're never going to be able to control our thoughts. Okay, and that's why I was doing that exercise, is you're going to have thoughts. That's what your brain does. What you can control is your reaction to the thoughts you're having. So for instance, I just lost a deal. Okay. The next thought is probably a fear-based thought, which is, oh my God, how am I going to pay my mortgage? I'd already spent that money. I needed this for this. And then that tends to put us into a negative spiral that costs us a lot of time and energy, and it's not production. So it's the reaction to our thoughts. So what you can do in Matt's process, or in David's process, is if you work on this stuff enough, you can say, wow, I lost the deal, and I just had a thought about how I'm going to pay my mortgage again. I'm going to let that thought go. That's how he does it. One of the processes I use is I'm going to name that thought. That is a thought that it produces fear in me. So I'm going to let that thought go. That's my process. And then you can get right back to work, and you don't spend all that time in reaction. Because here's the truth, guys. One of the paths for all of you guys to become as successful and to have the life, create the life of your dream, is anything that you want, is that you have to build emotional resiliency. Does that make sense, everybody? You have to build emotional resiliency. And I know a lot of coaches, well, this is why I'm doing this coaching program too, is because everybody stayed tactical. But what I saw was tactical is only one part of the equation. The second part is the mindset. And you have to have both in order to get there. So one of my big whys in doing this business is to build the mindset as well with you guys. So emotional resiliency is where something happens, we get a thought about it, but we don't go into a reaction around it. We allow that thought just to go, and we just forego that whole 24 to 48 hours of beating ourselves up, sending emails off, or coming home and kicking the dog, or yelling or whatever, right? All that stuff is just residual baggage that holds anybody back from becoming great. Does that make sense, everybody? David, you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something to that, if I can, real quick.
Please.
Emotional resiliency, that's another muscle, essentially, that
No
we
doubt.
have. We can't just all of a sudden jump in and be, oh, I'm choosing to be resilient today. We have to learn to exercise that and to work towards that. And one of the things I actually incorporated because of you and Dan into my meditation and into how I look at everything, that mind frame, that mindset, was when you said that when we have that fear, it's the mind frame. We're concentrating on what we're afraid of. So if we can recognize it, and that's where, when calming your mind and acknowledging something you're recognizing, then you can move forward to then change that and say, well, then what's the other outcome that I want? And that helps get past it and helps build that resiliency and stretching that resiliency, emotional resiliency muscle.
Yep. And that's really what, you guys might look at some of the top producers, and you're like, that guy's not better than me, or that woman's not better than me. But they're able to stay in and be productive for 8 to 9 hours a day when the stuff happens, not if. Does that make sense to everybody? They're able to say it. They're able to roll past that. They're able to reach out to a realtor, and a realtor's having a bad day and tease off on you or something, right? Go get your own loans, right? And you're like, oh, she must be having a bad day. Okay, cool. I can move on and have another one. That's one of the key determinants for you guys' success. Does anybody else want to talk about this anymore? I know it's weird when we talk about mindset and emotions that tend to be personal for people. So I want to honor and respect that. But I also don't want to be scared about speaking that way to you guys, because that's my truth. That is one of the key differentiators. It's one of the things we do at live events. It's why I highly recommend coming here, so that you can do that for hours on end and you can have processes around it. Because at least in my perspective, my brain still gives me fearful thoughts. But what I'm able to do is be aware of the way that I feel. And then fearful thought creates anxiety. Anxiety doesn't feel good. So my process is, if I'm not feeling good, I can trace it right back to, what was that thought I just had? Okay. And then I just label it. My brain produced a fearful thought. I'm letting that go, and then move on. And I'm not there yet too. I don't stand behind you as some like Zen master. But I stand in front of you saying that my mindset has improved dramatically when I've been working on it, and has impacted business and family life and all types of things. So let's do this. I want you guys now, a piece of paper and a pen. What is the one biggest thing, and it doesn't have to be mindset, it can be straight tactical. What is the one biggest thing right now that you feel like is holding you back from being great in this business? What's the one thing that you think is holding you back? Every time I'm just going to introduce a little mindset stuff, because I know it's a little overwhelming, but each time we're going to introduce a little bit, so you guys can be building that stuff too, but know that we are a tactical company too. So okay, cool. In the chat box, who wants to have a discussion around it? Who wants to ask me or the group or anybody? Hey, you know what? This is my greatest challenge. I'd love some support around this. What I can tell you is if you don't want to go, that is your cue to go. If you don't want to go, that means that you should go. If you're feeling a little nervous, or you're feeling a little bit like, oh my God, somebody's going to judge me, that's your cue to go. I can tell you without a sliver of doubt that somebody else is struggling with the same thing. So in the chat box, who wants to get some support around whatever challenge they're having right now? So if you put that in there. JR, okay. Martha, let's get about 4 or 5 in a row, and then we know when people are going. So I got JR, Martha, Danny. I'm gonna have you guys mute in a second. Let's get one more. If we don't get more, then I'm gonna have to call on people, and that's not fun. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. I promise you're helping others too. Ask the question just so others get the benefit too. JR, let's do this. What's the biggest thing holding you back? Unmute.
I would say the biggest fear I have is around video. So
normal.
What happens is I'll do the video, but it takes me like, I don't know, 30, 40 takes, because I'm so fixated on the individual words that are coming out of my mouth.
Yep.
I finally got a good video camera on the computer. And I've tried the teleprompters, but when I tried that, it seems so scripted and just so unnatural. And I want to get so much into my video for like 30, 40 seconds to put on my post like last week's.
Yeah.
So I guess, what would you recommend doing to, one, have people feel like you're reaching out and hugging them? Like, I thought the video last week was decent, but looking at some of the other videos that our colleagues have been doing are just so good. And I'm just,
it's a fantastic, like, dude, everybody struggles with that, including me in the beginning, because it's absolutely something new. So I appreciate you asking that. B, the way that I did it is I actually physically pictured the eye of my phone as a person, and I actually named that person. So I would do it like, I'd pick one of my best friends, or I'd pick my wife, or I'd pick somebody that I really liked, and then I'd say it like this. And I used to start like this, man, I got to tell you something. And, if I'm talking to you, I would go, hey, JR, you got to check this out. And then I just leave it like JR, and I would speak in the voice that I normally would just speak in, if I'm hanging out with somebody on the weekend. So I'd say, okay, it's JR. He's a really cool guy. He's a friend of mine. Hey, JR, you got to check this out, man. The other day, I had a client that came in that had a 621 credit score, and we were able to get it up to 685. That saved that person a half on an interest rate, which was $200 a month. $200 a month times 30 years. That was like $36,000 we saved somebody. It was so awesome to do that, man. And I just want to share that story with you. You guys have a fantastic day. I'll talk to you soon. Right. And then out. But for me, it was just picking a name, and I did so many that then I can riff like that. But I always started with that. I looked into the eye and pictured that it was somebody that I really liked, that I wanted to share something with. That's how I did it. And in the way that I got over the 30 or 40 takes thing is, if you were having a conversation with somebody on the weekend, like drinking a beer with them or something, you wouldn't do another take. You would just tell them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you wouldn't be like, oh, wait, JR, let me start over. So I had this client, wait, JR, let me start over, right? Like you just say, hey, man, I got to tell you something. You got to check this out. That's why if you look at my language, I still write like that. Check this out. Wow. Hey, take a second and look this, man, because I'll tell you what, this saved this client probably $500 a month. And I think that you guys would benefit from that as well. So I want to share this with you. However you talk to a client. And so I had to picture somebody, and then I did it. And then the other part that's harder is, even when I fumbled, which I do all the time now, I'm sure you guys listen to me public speak, or you listen to videos I made now too, right? Probably in level 1. They're not perfect. But what I got to was, I did it. And if I stumbled, I'd work it through and just keep going and be okay with it. Like our jobs are not movie stars on Hollywood. It doesn't have to be perfect. And so I got to a place where one of the best feedback I got, when I was doing it, was the key is just to publish, which means do it, publish it, move on. And what happens is you just get so much more comfortable at it. And when you mess up, you kind of laugh. And I'll tell you this, when you mess up and you can laugh through it, that makes the video better. Man, I can't believe I just said that. Okay. So, and then people go, oh, he's real. He's not a Hollywood. So it actually benefits you when you mess up, if you can laugh on it. So it really is beneficial. Is that helpful?
It's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being vulnerable and asking. Martha.
Yeah, that was helpful on the video side. Where I'm having kind of the immediate issues, I think, is my lead volume's definitely gone up, which is great. But when I get into the actual conversations with folks, and they start talking about what they're seeing online as far as rates, and just being able to keep them talking about the process and not about rates. And so I'm trying to change that up, look at the way I'm speaking, all those things. But that's probably my biggest, right now, because I'm getting a lot of interest. It's just, well, what about this? I see this online, blah, 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 so then I get frustrated with that. So.
Well, there it is, right? And did you see kind of back to the mindset? So
yes,
the frustration is a reaction to the thoughts that you're having about somebody. So somebody asking about what they see online is a neutral thing. It's only what we're assigning it. This is how I did it in my career. And if you start guys getting really busy, talk to Dan about going to level 2, where we have really specific dialogues. I have me recorded talking to people. But the way that I did it was, I always looked at myself as a doctor. So, doctors, there's people that go into doctors and say, hey, listen, I saw this on WebMD for $19.99 to take this thing. And it doesn't bother them, right? They just stay in their process. So the way that I'd always speak is, this is how we do it here. This is how we do it here. I spend about 15 minutes with you, going over your hopes and dreams, finding out, your motives for what's going on. And then we schedule a 20-minute strategy session where I'm going to share with you 3 different loan programs, and we're going to be able to pick which one's best for you. That's how we do it here. And the more that you can stay in that place, and at that moment, at that time, we can certainly talk about rates. But until then, everybody's flying blind. because nobody knows. So I would say it like this. You know, when you go to a doctor and they take your blood and they, you know, they do these tests on you, that's what a credit report is. And that's what we're looking at you. We're diagnosing you right now. And so for anybody to be telling you that you should be going getting a knee surgery when it was really your elbow, that's not going to help you. So what we do here is we spend this amount of time getting to know it. I put together you guys can either do a mortgage coach or do it on Excel. I put together 3 programs for you, and we're going to talk about which program is best for you, because what's important to me is that you're in the best loan for your needs. That's what's the most important for me. So is that something that you want to do? Well, I just want to know your rate. Okay. I can't do that for you until we go through that process. What I can tell you is if you have a very defined process for somebody in the beginning and you add value, in my career, it was 90% of the people will not ask about rate after that. 10% will. They're usually lawyers and engineers. Not to generally speak, I love them too. But and then that's fine, right? And you can do all that, and they can do that. And I would say it like this. I'd say if you want to get the best rate, this is what I want you to do: is pick a day and pick a time. In my day, it was called Good Faith Estimate. Get 3 good faith estimates at 1:00 on Wednesday, and come back to me, and I'll see if we can beat it right now. But here's the truth, and I would show them my email. Rates change not only daily, but they can change hourly. So if somebody quotes you a rate at noon, let's use 5%, for example. If somebody quotes you a rate at 5%, you can go to somebody else at 3:00 that day, and they can tell you 4,875, and you're going to think they're better. But the rates might have gone down. Something could have happened in the bond market at that time. And my rate might be 4.75, and you just took a higher rate than you needed to. So this is how you do it. If you really want to properly shop, you got to pick the exact same time. You got to get 3 good faith estimates at the exact rate time. And I'm happy to do that with you if you go get those, and we can do that then a Wednesday at 1. I probably had not many took me up on that offer. And then they would go, cool, thanks. Because I was genuinely looking out for them. If you want to get the best rate, this is how you have to do it. And let me tell you why. So I'm still educating.
Yeah, right.
And that's the only way to do it. Now, again, you might, as I said, like, I can remember a couple of lawyers being like, well, thanks, dude. And then calling them and actually doing that. And if we weren't right. And then if we weren't the best, I was totally fine with that. Cause I was like, I was building a database too, right? Like where you're building a network of people that are going to use you over and over. I didn't want somebody in my database that was going to beat me up on rates and fees for the rest of my career. So I was like, great, it's fine if I lose them. But I can tell you, if you go through, somebody goes through a high level strategy session with you, 90% will not leave. They will not leave.
Okay.
So for all of you guys, you have to get that initial point of sale. You have to make it better. It has to be valuable. And you have to think of yourself as a doctor. You have to think just like a doctor. And if they don't want to go through giving blood, you can't diagnose them. And if they don't want to go through that process with you, you can't force them. So that's how I did it. Hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah, no, it was.
Cool. Danny.
I'm in the DC market, so that's
So
every.
am I. Where are you?
I'm in Sterling, right next to.
I'm in Haymarket, Prince William, so not that far.
Yeah, so that's every conversation that I have with potential clients, as you know.
Yeah, we have a higher, we have a higher net worth. We have the highest. I don't know how they do this, but most people that went to college or have graduate degrees in there.
Oh, yeah.
So as I said, when I spoke to them, but can you see that the way that I speak works really well? Because I would be totally honest with them and I would show them, look at my email. We just got a price change right now. Yeah. So if you want that, and eventually in DC, they're busy too though. So eventually at some point they go, all right, man, I trust you. So what, and then you can get past it.
Yeah. I always send snapshots of the tenure and the coupons and just start talking over their head if they want to try and get involved. Mostly lawyers are the ones that want to know more.
I use the Chicago bond market. So the Chicago bond market opens up at 9 a.m. our time right now. So we're going to be able to price this at this time. And yeah, you do have to use that a little bit in these higher net worth areas. You have to be a little bit more.
Well, I'm going. My biggest challenge is myself, and this is why I'm here. To try and numb my self-awareness, if that makes any sense.
Ooh.
Because I'm way too
Because
self-aware.
I would do the other. I would do the other. Oh, well,
I mean, when it comes to video, like for instance, we had the when I think my first assignment was reading a 2-sentence script on the introduction. I made the video last week, but just like JR said, I it was 2 sentences, and I think I did 30 takes on it before I posted it.
So it's not self-aware; it's self-critical.
Okay, yeah, and those
are two totally different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that fair for me to say it like that?
Yeah, no, absolutely, that makes more sense. But to be less self-critical, I think that.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're probably a little hard on yourself. Was that helpful? What I told JR about the key thing is publishing, and
Yeah.
David was saying it today. You know, it's a muscle. All this stuff's a muscle. Publishing is a muscle because it makes. The couple times I published, it was like, you know, bile in the back of my throat. And then you sit there and you're like, why isn't anybody commenting or liking? You know, and it's miserable, right? The first time, is that because I did it bad? What did I wrong? And you're doing having all that.
Oh yeah. Thoughts. Well, when I posted it, I went on my phone, I think, and viewed it another 20 times. And like you said, I think self-critical is probably the biggest word. And my wife, but then going back to what you expanded on earlier about, you know, messing up and laughing it off.
Yeah.
You know, showing your personality. Because my wife, she saw it and she said, that's not you. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. It's not me. I never had, and you know, with each publish, like you mentioned, it's going to get easier. And that's what I'm trying to get to. I'd like to get to that point where I'm 100% comfortable with posting any information and going forward. So,
well, the only path there is to throw up in your back of your throat and doing it and publishing it. That's the only path there. There's no other path there. And so you have to do that. And you know, and I hope that sharing that, like picturing a friend and pretending that you're having a beer with them on a weekend and that you're just excited to share something with a friend. Sure. That's the right frame.
Well, you know, and just to expand on that, I ran a bar in DC for, you know, my previous college, and I always told myself and I was in my mind, I thought was one of the best bartenders in DC for a stretch, and I said if I could ever get to that point and mirror my mortgage business to the way that I bartended, just because I had such a huge following that came,
you can,
and just, you know, I think I would make $1 million, but I have not been able to translate that over.
How long have you been doing this business?
11 years.
Okay. So we record this right now, and I want you to watch this back, because how you just said it to this, you just went like this. Hey, Deryck, let me tell you a story. I was a bartender in DC, and I was drawing in, and you had me. That was the perfect place for you to start your videos. So whether it's me or whether it's anybody, it's just like that. Hey, Deryck, let me tell you a story. I was a bartender in DC for a couple of years, and I was really, you know, I was really good at that. But what I noticed is that I was able to have really good rapport with clients. And now in the mortgage business, I do the exact same thing. They're still friends for me, you know, and I really, really care for them, and I want to be there for them. It's an anxious thing getting a mortgage. And I love doing this job because I get to be there for people. So if anybody needs a mortgage, just know that I'm always here for you. It's just like Cheers. We always know your name. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Right? Like, do you see that, like that frame right there? Like, and so watch this back. Hillary will post it at some point, but watch that back. And that's how the way that you talk to me and the way that I just talk back to you is how you want to do it, just like that. The first couple of times you won't. But that's what you want to do, is you want to pick one person. And if it's me, just pick me. Hey, Deryck, I want to tell you a story. Or pick, you know, a buddy that's not going to judge you. You know, somebody that's, you know, somebody, you know, that's a client. That's a client that comes there every Friday night and has a vodka on the rocks, right? Like, yo, Sam's here. Hey, Sam, check this out, man. I got to tell you this story, right? That's how you do it, right from that place. Awesome. Guys, let me tell you a quick story on me really quick. Most of you guys are new, so you might not have heard this story yet, but the first time I did a presentation on Zoom, it was November of 2015, and I was on with 75 people at a mortgage company. Abby, very similar to the presentation I did. Do you know this story already, Abby? You know this story? How do you know this story? You're new. But if anybody of you guys came in through a presentation that I did for a company, raise your hand if you did. Some people came in through Facebook. Okay, Abby, I know did. Larry, yeah, Larry, I know you did one. Dan, okay, so the first one I did, okay, the first one that I did, and this should help all of you guys feel better, is I came in and I came up with Zoom, right? And I put Zoom on and I share slides when I do it. So I start speaking. Well, before I start speaking, I was really nervous beforehand. So it was November and I went out and ran. It was like 80 degrees. So I ran out and ran, and I work at home, and I went upstairs and took a shower, put on a green shirt. And by the time I came and sat in front of everybody, it had completely soaked through with sweat. So I'm on camera with like a really sweaty, gross shirt. And so I started, and I did it as a video back then, but I did it on Zoom. So I started the video, and I'm like, and the video was 20 minutes. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. I could go put my shirt in the dryer because I can't change it because they saw me start with a green shirt. So I'll go put my shirt in the dryer. And by the time the video's up, I can come back on camera and talk to them. Well, I went and took my shirt off, put it in the dryer, and I sat right here in this chair. Okay, with no shirt on. And I don't know why I did it. I just did it, but you guys can't see that I don't have pants on either, right? So literally, the greatest fear that everybody has is like to be naked on stage, or, naked in their school or something like that. And literally on my first presentation, 75 people thought that I did a presentation naked. And I didn't know that the camera was on. I thought the video was on, and I just had no idea. And I sat there. So it gets to the end, and I run and go get my shirt, put my shirt back on, and I come out, and literally I stand before them right then. I had no idea that they had just seen me without my shirt on for the 18 minutes. And it was just crickets. And I was and you see what I'm selling. I'm like, who wants to learn social media video training from a guy that can't keep his clothes on, right? And nobody asked me any questions. Nobody signed up. And I went and I looked at my phone after this, and they had spent 20 minutes making fun of me. I've got a really hairy chest. So they were they were sending all pictures of the 40-year-old version guy. I don't know if you guys have seen that, where they ripped the hair off the guy's chest. They were sending all pictures of hairy chest dudes around, literally just made fun of me the whole time. And so I say it like this, guys. If you do your first videos and you just keep your clothes on, you did better than I did in my first one. Just stay fully clothed, and you did better than I did. You cannot mess up worse than that. So hopefully that story is helpful for you guys. Let's go to Met Signs.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, man. Hey, how are you?
Good. So the biggest thing holding me back is, it's the same thing that I've been working on since the beginning of the year, is that basically I'm getting 50% of my deals from past clients, 50% from referral partners. And I feel like I need to get that more so towards the referral partner.
I would keep it.
Right.
Yeah, still you want to get fit. Like, actually, a mature mortgage business, 60% from past clients, if you're doing the business right. Yeah. If you're doing the business right, and those are the best clients, they have the best loan amounts, they've already used you, so they know, like, and trust you. You don't have to sell as much. So yeah, you don't want to be getting away from that. But you can be increasing both of those. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Was that helpful? Did I even answer?
So I just want to work that a little bit more so than what I'm doing now.
Okay, so do it like this. It's Wednesday. Just make one call after this. Do it today. So what a lot of, like, your brain can't work with, I just want to do a little bit more, but your brain can work like this. When I get done today, I'm going to reach out to somebody, and I'm going to get that done. Is that fair?
Yep.
Because you guys all know, right? Like, oh, I'm starting the diet tomorrow. Yeah, I really need to start running, right? Like, nobody can do it from there. But what you can do is, oh yeah, right after this, I'm going to, go for a short jog, or I'm going to call a realtor real quick on this. You can do that. That's why I'm bringing in the mindset stuff. If you can start becoming immune to them hanging up on you, and that doesn't affect the way that you feel, you could still be annoyed, but you're like, oh, okay, whatever. I did it. Awesome. It's what I was talking about with publishing. Like, the key is doing it badly too is great. Thinking about doing it will cause anxiety and fear and stress. Doing it is where you get the power. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All the power lies in just doing it. The power doesn't lie in the power doesn't lie in the results. So we all want the results. I want more referral partners to send me more business, right? And then we go, I called somebody and didn't send me business. That's not where the power is. The power is I call 3 of them on Wednesdays, and I do that as a system. That's where the power is. And then the business starts flowing. It's shocking how easy it can be if you can just do the do. Most people will say, hey, I don't have time, or time management's my issue. I can guarantee you that that's not the issue. It's that it's managing your own mind that's thinking about doing, what should I say? It's got to be perfect, right? Going back to JR's, right? It's got to be perfect. If I didn't say every word right, or if I didn't do that right. I'll show you the social media post that I did when I had no shirt on camera. Just put that in your mind and laugh and go do it. Is that fair?
Yep.
It's the only path there, man. And that's where the power is. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Larry.
Hey, Deryck, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Good, excellent. My number one problem right now I see is my discipline to break away from some bad habits that I have.
You want to be more specific, or you don't have to if you don't want to either?
Well, no, I can. Is the morning staples, for instance? I'll get into that. Before I know it, my mind will be, these thoughts come flooding into my mind. Not necessarily thoughts of fear, not necessarily bad thoughts.
Yeah.
Thoughts about, oh my gosh,
I got to do this.
I want to do this, and this. I don't have enough time, so I'll cut this short, and I'll get started on my big fat hairy to-do list.
Yeah.
And then I'm sucked into it. Before I know it, I'm not sticking to the discipline that I'm committed to. In fact, this is my second quarter goal with Dan, is that my new disciplines become second nature, where it's not such a battle.
Yep. I mean, I'll say it like this, it takes 66 days to create a new habit. It takes 3 to lose it. So being proactive before you start your day is one of the most, it's a hard habit to get, but it's the one that will change your life, because you guys all know this. The mortgage roller coaster is like this. Oh, I have time to do marketing. Oh, look, my pipeline's full. I've got all this business. I don't have time to do marketing. And then they all close, and oh my God, I need to market. Okay. And then you start marketing, and oh my God, I don't have time to market. Right. So you guys, if you don't get out of it, you'll stay on the roller coaster for your entire career.
Yeah.
And so what we want you guys to do is to smooth that out, where it's more like this. The only thing that I do consistently is the marketing activities. Now, this might make you want to throw up too, especially right now. I can set a boundary and say, hey, I'm a little bit too busy right now, and I'm going to pass you off to my colleague here. I'm going to refer you to here. Down the road, what level 2 is, then you start hiring assistants, and you get a licensed assistant that you can take all that business, and you can keep building from there. You create systems then, and then you can add more teammates. So you don't have to give it away. But until you can build the system to handle it, the fulfillment side, it's okay to say, hey, listen, I'm a little bit too busy right now. But what you guys want to get out of is marketing when it's slow, not marketing when you have a lot of loans. Because if you don't, you literally, I'm not kidding, it's amazing, but like, you'll have 10 years in a row of 55 units, right? And you go, how did I do the exact same thing? I was so busy and frazzled the whole time, right? And I know what it is. It's that you're stopping and starting on marketing. Once you do it like that, the way that I say it like this is that your business is sales and marketing, your job's to do loans. Okay. Your business is not to do loans. Your business is sales and marketing. So that's something that you have to do. That it's the number one priority, because you can systemize the doing the loans, and you can hire people as you grow to do the loan part. But you guys get paid for sales and marketing. That's why you guys get paid so much money. That's what it is. You're getting paid to bring loans in the door. And that's why you'll always have a business. Quicken won't be able to compete with you on a hyper local level, or they can't. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. The other part of it
but
is,
it's hard. I'm not going to say it's easy though, Larry, but it's hard. But that's why you guys are signed up, and I respect all of you guys. I'm done coaching too, to be in coaching, because it is hard. It is. It's a habit you have to build, because your mind is not going to be your best friend during that time. You have 10 loans in your pipeline, and you're like, Deryck wants me to call freaking my the last thing I want is another loan. I'm not doing that, right? And your brain's going to say that to you every single time.
right.
But that's where, like, that's why I'm talking to you guys about mindset early and often here. It doesn't go away. Even in level 3, it doesn't go away ever. Because you have to beat your mind. You have to retrain your mind. Your mind is not set up to make you successful. Your mind is set up to keep you alive. It's two totally different things. Does that make sense to everybody? So if you want to be successful, you have to retrain your mind. Your mind's not going to do it on its own.
Right. The other part of it is that Facebook is training me. I'm not. I feel like I'm still at the mercy of Facebook to a large degree. I'm relatively late to the party with Facebook.
No, you're not.
I feel
Still
like
beginning. Yeah.
I feel like I am, because when I go online, I see what my competition and what my market is doing. They've been ahead of me. But anyway, I'm making up for it now. That's my perspective. But I find myself being sucked into a vortex with Facebook, where I feel like I have to just turn the notification off. Otherwise, every time I hear a ding, I feel like Pavlov's dog. You know, I'm responsible.
Yeah. Well, I give you credit for saying that. That's pretty self-aware. Facebook is set up in a Pavlov dog type system. And if you don't watch it, you can get sucked in to all social media sites. You know, I don't fault them for that. That's why I think social media is a fantastic avenue to get business, because it is an addictive way for humans. It is. So I'm not going to make any judgment. Is that good or is that bad? I'm not going to spend any time on it. I'm just a reactor. Right now, social media is addictive. A lot of people are there. But I can tell you that in my life, I don't have any notifications on my phone. And then I have very set times that I go in and check things. And I'm very disciplined about that.
I like that.
So every notification, I don't have, and there's no app, there's nothing. I don't get notified on anything. I don't keep a ringer on. There's nothing. For you guys down the road, that's going to be your path too, is, again, you have to beat some of these things. You have to beat it mentally. And then you have to be proactive with your schedule, and you have to stick with it. That's where mindset comes in, right? So when somebody tries to riff you off your schedule, you have to be like, no, and not feel bad about it. Is that fair?
Yep.
Cool. David, you said I'm always happy to go, but yeah, sure. I think we went to Matt, and Matt wants to talk about education level or something. But if anybody else has anything too, hit it in the chat box. David, go.
So I'll just go with the first thing I wrote down, because since then all I've been thinking is, yeah, me too, Larry, Pavlov's dog.
Everybody goes through it. That's why I said in the beginning, please ask your question, because in your own mind, you think it's just you, but we coach so many people that I'm like, oh my God, it's everybody. So whatever you're struggling with, everybody else is struggling with too. So that's why I like to do things in groups too, so you actually realize how normal you are. And then once you realize how normal, then you can say, oh, this is how I beat it. It's not a David thing. It's a human thing.
So for me right now, things are going really good.
Awesome.
I've been feeling a lot better, getting over a lot of things. But the one that's I'm working through is that anxiety, or that fear of being overwhelmed. Specifically because I know I'm a people pleaser, and I tend to reactively overoffer things and say I'll do more than I realistically can.
Yep.
And so I've been getting better about that, but that's a big one for me that I've been really trying to dial in and use appropriately, not off the cuff with everybody.
So write this note and put it up on your computer. It's okay to say no. No is my friend. the shift that I made in my own life around that too, I was a former people pleaser, then I went into a people server. And so when I looked at how to serve people as opposed to pleasing people, I did it like this. I needed to be healthy. I needed to take care of myself. I'm going to be the best that I can to my family and to my clients. I need to get adequate rest, and I need to, if I'm going to be a good, productive spouse that's a provider, I need to be disciplined with my business time, and I need to be off when it is. So I need to serve my kids. I need to serve my wife. I need to serve my clients. And so that's what best serves them, is the best version of Deryck. And so in order to get the best version of Deryck has to be okay saying no. But when I became really hyper-focused in, I want to really serve you guys, like in this business now, like it's a passion of me to serve you guys. If I said you guys are all going to have one-on-one time for Deryck for as long as you want, I'll answer every question, I wouldn't be good for any of you guys. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And do people call or message me? And, I like to help, but I'm also like, I protect it because I want every single one of you guys to have your lives be impacted in a positive way. I want you guys to change and grow. And so in order for us to be that as a company for you guys, we have to say no, and I have to be okay with it. And you know what, ready for the next part? The next part is kind of the mindset part. I have to be 100% okay that people are still going to ask though. And I don't need to beat them up for asking. I don't need to spend any time asking, because I'll tell you what, from coaching a lot of people for a long time, the majority of the pain's around, I cannot believe that she called me at 9 p.m. and she wanted this. Doesn't she know that I'm with my kids at this time, or that I don't do that? I already did this. And I want to be like, did you say yes? Did you answer the phone? Yes. Okay, that's your problem. Like, that's your problem, right? And it's not your problem. That's what you can fix. So if you look at everything as, wow, I could really improve with setting boundaries right here. And it might come to, I'll tell you guys, get a different SIM card for your phone with a different number in it, right? So all your business has your own phone, put a different SIM card in at 6 p.m. with a different phone number that just your spouse or your friends and loved one have. You might have to go to that. You might have to get 2 phones. I did 2 phones back in my day. You might have to go to 2 phones. Because if you see somebody texting you at 9 p.m. on Friday when you're with your friends or family, and that annoys you, or you feel like you should answer it, you probably shouldn't see it if you can't help yourself. That's why notifications off is very important. Unless you have the mental discipline, which it takes time, that somebody asks you something, you can look at it and it doesn't cause any reaction in you. Huh, interesting. They just called me at 9 and asked me a question like that. Cool. I'll be getting back to them on Monday at 9 a.m. If you can't get to that, that's the upper level stuff that you can do. You can get to that point. But while you're training yourself, you said it really well about it's a muscle. While you're training yourself, you might not be able to see it. And you should get a different phone or a different SIM card for your phone.
I've gotten pretty good, at least on the texting and the calls after hours and the weekends. I have a little auto reply for text on my phone that just says, "Hey, I'm with family. Can you resend me this text first thing Monday, so that way it'll be fresh and I'll see it."
Yeah.
And then they know they got a reply, and then they're happy. They feel like I've done something, even though I haven't. I just said, get back to me on Monday.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. It's a great way to do it. And if somebody's frustrated and then they call you again on it and they start writing question mark, because you're not getting back to them, that's on them. That's their anxiety. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And you just don't feel bad at it, because guys, this is one of the things you have to get to be top producers. You have to get this. When you guys get into servicing 15 loans a month and 20 loans a month, you cannot be a people pleaser. You have to be a people server. And it does not serve people to be at their beck and call whenever they're experiencing anxiety. Can you guys call your doctor at 9 p.m. at night because you're freaking out because you just saw this new thing on your arm? What happens, right? Would they go like this? Okay, cool. What? Dr. Shoup's office is closed right now. Please call on Monday at 8:30 a.m. Right. And you're like, like, so doctors have to learn boundaries, and people have really life-threatening things with doctors, and they still have to set boundaries. And for us, I didn't hear not a lot of people teaching this stuff in the business, which is one of my whys. So, guys, we're at 3 p.m. right now, and I have at 3 o'clock. So I'm going to go. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I appreciate you guys showing up. I honor and respect you guys for getting coaching and to bettering your life and bettering your business. You guys have a fantastic Wednesday, and I'll talk to you guys soon.